I've decided to start a new life without you. The words sliced through the hum of clinking glasses and polite laughter, hanging in the air like smoke. We were seated in a candlelit private room at Larkspur Grill, the upscale restaurant I'd chosen for our daughter's college graduation dinner. And now this was Gregory's grand gesture. Gregory, my husband of 28 years, stood at the head of the table, champagne flute still lifted mid-toast. Only it wasn't a toast anymore. It was a declaration. A detonation. Forks froze midair. Conversations stumbled into silence. 40, maybe 50 pairs of eyes turned toward me, waiting. Waiting for the tears, for the gasping, for the broken cry or shattered glass, or maybe even a slap across the face. It was the scene everyone expected. But I didn't give it to them. Instead, I smiled. Congratulations on your honesty. My name is Rachel Whitman, and I am 54 years old. Until approximately 30 seconds ago, I'd been playing the role of the loyal wife and mother to perfection. I'd shelved my dreams of opening my own gallery to help Gregory chase his 3 startups, 2 reinventions, and 1 never-ending journey to find himself. And through it all, I was the one who stayed grounded, for him, for our daughter. Our daughter, Madeline, who sat beside me now in her navy blue cap and gown, her eyes wide, her face pale and frozen. She looked like she was trying to vanish into her chair. From the corner of my eye, I spotted her. Chloe Harper, half Gregory's age, his business consultant, sitting at a side table with a group of mutual friends. Our friends. The same people who had laughed at our New Year's parties, brought casseroles to our BBQs, and, apparently, kept a secret. Chloe shifted uncomfortably in her seat, as if my gaze burned hotter than the candlelight. She used to call me for career advice. She once cried on my shoulder over some breakup I can't even remember now. And all this time, she was sleeping with my husband. I reached into my handbag, calmly, like I was pulling out a compact, and instead drew a thick, cream-colored envelope. I laid it next to Gregory's plate with deliberate grace. He blinked at it. "What's this?" "A little something for later," I said, voice steady, almost warm. My fingers didn't tremble. My heart did not race. Gregory's expression flickered. The certainty, the smugness, it cracked. I turned to Madeline, brushing her cheek with a kiss. "I am so proud of you, sweetheart. Don't let anyone steal this moment from you. This is your day." Then I stood, smoothed the fabric of my midnight blue dress, and turned to face the room. "Please," I said, with a calm that silenced even the whispers, "enjoy your meal. I wish you all a lovely afternoon." Then I walked out, just like that. I didn't look back, but I could feel the weight of every stare. The hush, the tension, the judgment, the admiration, the confusion. All of it. As the heavy door closed behind me, I heard it, the swell of murmurs, frantic and rising, like the crash after a lightning strike. But outside, in the crisp air, I exhaled, and smiled for real this time. Outside, the Augusta summer hit me like a brick wall, humid, heavy, almost punishing. But I welcomed it. For the first time in years, I could breathe without calculating the emotional cost of every breath. Behind me, the restaurant door burst open, slammed shut. Then came Gregory's voice, no longer smooth and practiced, but high-pitched, panicked. "Rachel, what the hell is this? What have you done?" I didn't stop walking, didn't turn around. My heels clicked steadily across the pavement as I allowed myself the smallest, most dangerous kind of smile. The envelope I'd handed him? It contained the opening move of a plan I'd been crafting for months, deliberate, precise, and, frankly, overdue. I had always been the practical one in our marriage. While Gregory chased dreams and half-finished passions, I anchored our reality. I was the one who balanced the checkbooks, handled the taxes, and quietly built the savings that paid for Madeline's education when Gregory blew through thousands trying to help his buddy open a failing gastropub. When he quit his stable job to reconnect with his soul by selling handcrafted furniture on Etsy, which lasted all of 6 months before he got bored, I took on extra projects as a senior finance manager at Trevanta Corporation to cover the gap. And my dreams? Opening a financial consultancy for women? Building something of my own? Always shelved. Always postponed. After Madeline graduates, I tell myself. After Gregory finds his footing. Then 3 months ago, I saw the first red flag, a small bank transfer to an account I didn't recognize. It was just a few $100s. But I've spent over 20 years managing our finances. I know how to smell a lie dressed in decimal points. I could have confronted him. I wanted to, but something, intuition, maybe told me to wait.
To dig.
So I started tracking. Quietly.
Carefully.
Like a forensic accountant with a broken heart. And what I found, worse than I'd imagined. Gregory had been bleeding money from our accounts for over a year. A slow siphon. Thousands gone. Redirected to an account in his name only. And while he told me we had to tighten up for retirement, he was wining and dining Chloe at high-end restaurants, buying her jewelry, and even browsing beachfront properties down in Hilton Head. And then came the texts, those clumsy, open-screen texts he left lying on the kitchen counter one night while he showered. Only a few more weeks until we're free. After the graduation, we begin our real life. She'll be fine. She always bounces back. She. As if I were some footnote in the story of his great awakening. What Gregory never understood, never respected, was that I wasn't just a woman who managed our bills. I was a financial strategist. For 30 years, I knew how to track assets, unravel paper trails, and build cases the IRS would respect.
And now?
I was done playing the role of the oblivious wife. I was done giving second chances to a man who mistook silence for stupidity. And most importantly, I remembered the prenup. The one Gregory insisted we signed 28 years ago, back when I came for more money, and he was still trying to prove himself. He claimed it was about protecting his future earnings, his potential. Ironically, it's that same document that will be his ruin. Buried within the fine print, tucked away like a landmine, is a fidelity clause. A clause that states, in clear and legally binding language, that if Gregory ever violated the terms of our marriage, he forfeited his rights to the house, to the retirement accounts, to everything we'd built. While Gregory was plotting his fresh start with Chloe, I was building a case worthy of courtroom drama. I consulted with attorneys, quietly, efficiently. I documented every shady bank transfer. I printed screenshots of every love-soaked message, every Zillow listing they ogled, every receipt for champagne and gold bracelets. I even managed to pull GPS logs from his car's tracking system through the insurance app. Weekly trips to her condo. Late-night visits. A weekend in Charleston I was told was a work retreat. Then I filed the divorce papers 3 days before the graduation.
But I didn't serve them yet. No, that was for today.
What Gregory didn't realize, what he never could have fathomed, was that the very morning he planned to drop his big reveal like a plot twist at our daughter's celebration, I'd already filed the opening act.
He just didn't know it yet.
The documents were sealed until the court released them. Because I wasn't just reacting. I was orchestrating. I didn't return to the restaurant. I didn't need to. Instead, I drove home. Our Grand Colonial in Augusta's historic district, with the white shutters and wraparound porch. The home we bought 15 years ago. The one Gregory had already promised to Chloe in a text that read, "By this time next year, the house will be ours. Big kitchen, double vanity, room for a dog." I pulled into the driveway and stepped out, keys in hand. Inside, everything looked heartbreakingly familiar. The hallway still held the gallery of framed family photos. The antique grandfather clock, my father's, ticked its usual metronome of time and memory. The leather couch sagged in the same spot where Gregory and I once used to dream aloud about vacations, retirement, growing old together. But that version of us was gone, and I wasn't mourning it anymore. Upstairs, in the master bedroom, I opened our shared closet. Sure enough, his clothes were already packed. 2 suitcases, carefully zipped and pushed to the back like secrets. He had planned to leave tomorrow, after the graduation festivities. Clean break. New life. He was nothing if not predictable. Gregory had always been meticulous with his wardrobe. Ironed shirts, color-coded ties. But when it came to the things that mattered, marriage, loyalty, fatherhood, he had always been careless. My phone vibrated again. And again. The screen lit up with a barrage of texts. Friends from the restaurant. Amelia. Even Gregory's sister, Diana, who'd flown in from California for the graduation and now wanted to know what the hell just happened. I answered only one. Amelia. Mom, are you okay? Where are you?
Me?
I'm okay, sweetheart. This isn't your burden to carry. Enjoy your graduation day. We'll talk tonight. I love you. I had shielded Madeline from this storm for months. I didn't want her final semester tarnished by our unraveling. She deserved peace, pride, and joy. Not whispered arguments and cold shoulders at the dinner table. But now the truth was out, and there was no more pretending. She'd be angry that I hadn't told her. I knew that. But I also knew Madeline would understand, eventually. She'd inherited my practicality and, unfortunately, her father's charm. That combination had served her well, graduating with honors, a job lined up before commencement, confidence in her step. 3 hours later, I heard the familiar growl of Gregory's car pulling into the driveway. Then, slam. The front door crashed open. Rachel, where are you? His voice echoed through the house like a wounded animal. I was exactly where he expected me to be, sitting in the living room, calm as a storm's eye, reviewing documents on my laptop. I closed it slowly as he barreled in, red-faced, sweaty, livid. In his hand was the envelope, crumpled now, like his plans. What the hell is this? He snapped, shaking the divorce papers. You served me today? During our daughter's graduation? I tilted my head, voice cool and even. I thought it aligned perfectly with your timeline. You wanted to start your new life. I'm just facilitating the transition. He sputtered, anger giving way to disbelief. You had no right. I had every right. I cut in. Just like you had every right to choose Chloe. We all make choices, Gregory. Some are just more expensive than others. His mouth twisted. Then he regrouped. The prenup expired years ago, he said, that smug glint creeping back into his eyes. Any lawyer will tell you that. I gave him a look that could crack glass, and smiled. Actually, it didn't. Section 12. It clearly states that the fidelity clause remains in effect for the entire duration of the marriage. You really should have read it more carefully. Or maybe, hired a lawyer before you started playing house with your girlfriend. His face drained of color, as if the floor had dropped beneath him. Because in that moment he realized. The prenup, his prenup, the one he insisted on to protect himself back when I was the one with inheritance money and family investments, was ironclad. And it was about to strip him of everything he thought he could walk away with. The house. The Savannah vacation property. His share of our joint retirement accounts. All of it. His grand performance at the restaurant had just become the most expensive public announcement of his life. Gregory dropped onto the couch like someone had pulled the bones from his body. You can't do this to me, he whispered. I stood tall, arms crossed, gaze unwavering. We built this life together, Gregory. But you chose to end it. Just not in the way you planned. His phone buzzed. Again. Again. He looked at the screen, then placed it face down on the coffee table. Chloe, no doubt. Wondering where he was. Wondering why he hadn't followed through on their perfectly timed escape. He leaned forward, voice lower now, like he was trying a different tactic. You've always been calculated, Rachel, but this is cold. What about our history? 28 years. Does that mean nothing to you? I studied him. The man I'd loved for nearly 3 decades. The one who held my hand during 2 miscarriages. Who once surprised me with a trip to Charleston for our 10th anniversary. Who taught our daughter how to ride a bike in the park down the road. When did he change? Or maybe the better question was, had he always been this man? And had I simply been too loyal to see it? I took a breath. No venom. Just truth. Our history meant everything to me. His face softened. His eyes flickered, maybe with regret. Maybe calculation. I couldn't tell anymore. That's why, I said, my voice steady, Your betrayal hurt as much as it did. Then maybe we can fix this, Gregory said, standing, hands outstretched like the damage wasn't done. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. I didn't move. I didn't blink. This wasn't a mistake, Gregory. This was a calculated plan, spanning more than a year. You didn't trip and fall into betrayal. You mapped it out. He flinched. His face twitched, but then hardened again. You're exaggerating. I unlocked my phone, tapped the voice recorder app, and hit play. Gregory's voice filled the room. After the graduation, I'll tell her it's over. A public setting is better. She won't make a scene in front of everyone. Then Chloe's voice, sultry and smug. And she has no idea about the money? Gregory again.
None.
Rachel trusts me completely. That's her weakness. I watched the color drain from his face like water down a sink. You recorded us? That's illegal. I crossed my arms. Not in Georgia. One-party consent. And not when it happens in our own home. I didn't record your private moments with Chloe. I'm not cruel. Just the ones where you discussed how you planned to defraud me. He stood abruptly, nearly tripping over the corner of the coffee table. I need to make some calls. Of course, I said, calmly walking to the staircase. Your attorney might be a good start. I'll be staying at Diana's tonight. He blinked. Diana's? My sister's house.
Yes.
She's quite upset with you, actually. Gregory stared at me, confused and unraveling. She was the first to spot you and Chloe together. At the Christmas party. She didn't tell me right away. She gave you a chance to end it. But when she realized you hadn't, she came to me. That hit him harder than anything else. His own sister. The one person he never imagined would take my side. Everyone's betraying me, he muttered. Ironic, isn't it? I said, reaching for my purse and the overnight bag I had packed 2 days ago. You have until tomorrow evening to remove your things. After that, the locks change. I made it to the door before he spoke again. His voice cracked, desperate. What about Madeline? Have you even thought about how this affects her? That did it. I turned slowly, fury finally cracking through my calm. Don't.
You dare.
Don't you dare drag our daughter into this as your excuse. You weren't thinking about Madeline when you were buying Chloe diamond earrings or signing leases for beachfront apartments.
His phone buzzed again.
He glanced at it and groaned. Problem? I asked, reaching for the doorknob. Chloe's at the apartment already. She moved her stuff in. I couldn't help it. I smiled. The apartment you signed in both your names? The lease you started last month. He nodded, looking dazed. You might want to check with the leasing office, I said. That application never got approved. It was flagged for credit discrepancies. They called our landline to verify some info. I handled it. His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. But no words came. So I opened the door and stepped into the golden haze of evening light. Good luck, Gregory, I said over my shoulder. Seems your brand new life is off to a rough start. Diana lived in a charming bungalow across town, nestled on a quiet, tree-lined street near the university where she taught American literature. A blue hydrangea bloomed by her front steps. She met me at the door with open arms and a glass of red wine already waiting on the counter. Told you he'd implode, she whispered as she hugged me. Yeah, I said softly, my voice suddenly tired. But watching it happen is a different kind of pain. I wasn't broken. I was wide awake. When I arrived at Diana's bungalow, she met me at the door with a fierce hug. I just heard from Madeline, she said, pulling me inside like the house itself could shield me. Are you okay? Better than I expected, I replied truthfully, brushing a stray curl out of my face as I followed her into the kitchen. A bottle of red was already open on the counter. I never thought Gregory would make a scene like that, she muttered, pouring 2 glasses with practiced indignation. The restaurant? In front of everyone? He's lost his damn mind. It wasn't spontaneous, I said, accepting the glass. He wanted a stage. A public rejection. That way, I couldn't fight back without looking unhinged. Diana's face darkened. My brother always did love an audience, but this, she shook her head. This is Shakespearean-level cruelty. We settled in her sunroom, a cozy space filled with potted succulents, trailing vines, and overstuffed bookshelves. Sunlight filtered through gauzy curtains. It felt like the first truly peaceful space I'd stepped into all day. Diana had never married, choosing freedom over compromise. For years, I'd admired her independence from a distance, even envied it in quiet moments. She studied me over the rim of her wine glass. So, what exactly was in that envelope that made him look like someone slapped him with a shovel? I sipped, savoring the sharp, earthy flavor before answering. The divorce petition. A detailed financial trail of his deception. And the prenup. Her eyes widened, then a wicked grin curled her lips. That prenup? Oh my God. I remember when he pushed for it like he was Jeff Bezos. Dad had just fronted him the money for that landscaping venture. He thought he was going to be the next Rockefeller. He wanted to protect his future empire, I said dryly. Turns out he protected mine instead. She laughed, a bitter, biting sound. The irony is delicious.
My phone rang.
I didn't even need to check the screen. I knew it was her. I took a deep breath and answered. Mom, Madeline's voice cracked through the line, raw and strained. I'm coming over to Aunt Diana's. Sweetheart, you don't have to. I'm already in the car, she interrupted, her voice breaking. Dad's telling everyone you've lost your mind. He's saying this was some twisted revenge plan. He's saying awful things. Of course he was. Gregory always rewrote the story, painting himself in glowing light while turning everyone else into villains. Let him talk, I said quietly. The truth has teeth. It'll bite him soon enough. 20 minutes later, Madeline arrived. Still in her graduation dress. Her makeup was smudged, and her eyes were red from crying. She walked straight into my arms like she used to when she was 6 and waking up from nightmares. Why didn't you tell me? She asked, her voice muffled against my shoulder. Because I didn't want this hanging over your last semester, I said, brushing a tear off her cheek. You worked too hard to have this ruin your moment. She pulled back, trembling but fierce. Well, Dad took care of ruining it anyway. We moved into Diana's living room. Diana brought a third glass of wine for me, not Madeline, and sat quietly as I told my daughter everything. The affair, the missing money, the hidden account, Chloe and the beachfront daydreams. Madeline sank into the couch like the wind had been knocked out of her. I knew something was wrong, she whispered. He's been different. Distant. Always on his phone. But I never thought it was this. None of us want to see the people we love clearly when it means losing who we thought they were, Diana said gently. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Philip Anderson, my attorney. I opened it and felt the breath rush out of me. Emergency filing approved. All identified accounts frozen. Gregory now limited to court-approved allowance. Property transactions halted pending divorce proceedings. I turned the screen toward them. Diana let out a low whistle. Madeline blinked, then gave a small, stunned laugh. He really thought he was going to leave you with nothing, she said. And now he can't even take Chloe on a weekend trip without checking his budget. I didn't gloat. I just exhaled. After months of holding my breath, of pretending, of surviving on the edge of exposure, it was done. The first strike had landed, and Gregory had no idea how many more were coming. Good, Madeline said firmly. He deserves it. Her loyalty warmed me, but I wasn't naive. Gregory is still your father, I reminded her gently. Your relationship with him is separate from what's happening between us. Madeline shook her head, bitterness tightening her jaw. Maybe someday. But right now, I can't even look at him. He hugged me this morning, told me how proud he was, all while planning to blow up our family just hours later. The doorbell rang, cutting through the heavy silence. Diana went to answer it, returning moments later with a troubled expression. It's Gregory, she said. And he's not alone. I steel myself as Diana led Gregory and Chloe into the living room. Chloe looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot, eyes darting around. She was 37. Not exactly a trophy wife, but still 17 years younger than me, with shoulder-length blonde hair and the kind of confidence that comes from never having faced real hardship. Gregory, by contrast, looked furious. His desperation from earlier had hardened into something colder. Anger. "Rachel, you need to stop this insanity," he demanded. "Unfreeze the accounts. We can discuss this like reasonable adults." Madeline rose, stepping slightly in front of me. "Maybe you should have tried being reasonable before announcing to everyone that you were leaving," she shot back. Gregory's eyes widened, as if noticing our daughter for the first time. "Madeline, this doesn't involve you," he said sharply. "Doesn't involve me?" she echoed incredulously. "You blew up our family on my graduation day, and it doesn't involve me?" Chloe touched Gregory's arm. "Greg, maybe we should go." He shook her off.
No.
"I'm not leaving until Rachel agrees to be rational about this." Diana folded her arms. "My sister-in-law seems to be the only rational person here," she said coldly. "You're the one who created this mess, Gregory." I stayed seated, watching the drama unfold. For years I'd been the peacemaker, smoothing conflicts and keeping everyone happy. That role was exhausting, and I had finally set it down. "The accounts remain frozen until the preliminary hearing," I said calmly. "That's in 3 days. The judge will decide the appropriate division of assets then." 3 days? Gregory sputtered. "What am I supposed to do for 3 days?" "You have your personal account," I reminded him. "The one you've been funneling money into for the past year. That should be sufficient." Chloe head whipped toward Gregory. "You have a separate account? With how much in it?" An interesting dynamic was emerging. Clearly, Gregory hadn't been entirely honest with Chol either. Gregory ignored her. "This is vindictive, Rachel. This isn't like you. Perhaps you never really knew me," I shot back. "Just as I apparently never really knew you." Madeline turned to Chol. "Did you know he was going to announce it like that, at my graduation celebration?" Chloe looked ashamed. "I thought he was going to talk to your mother privately." The announcement today was a surprise to me too. Gregory shot Chol a betrayed look. Cracks were already forming in their united front. Diana stepped forward. "I think you both should leave. You've upset Madeline enough for one day," she said. "Madeline," Gregory pleaded, "you understand that relationships change, right? Sometimes people grow apart." My daughter's face hardened in a way I'd never seen before. "What I understand is that you're a coward who couldn't even give Mom the dignity of a private conversation. What I understand is that you were stealing from our family while I worked 2 jobs to help pay for my textbooks because you said money was tight." Gregory paled. "That's not how it was." "It is exactly how it was." Madeline cut him off sharply. "Please leave, Dad. I can't look at you right now." The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Gregory turned toward the door, Chloe trailing behind. He paused and looked back at me. "This isn't over, Rachel. I'll fight you on this." I met his gaze steadily. "You're welcome to try." After they left, Madeline collapsed next to me on the sofa, tears streaming down her face. I've never talked to Dad like that. I wrapped my arm around her shoulders. Sometimes standing up for what's right is painful. Diana brought us fresh glasses of wine. "To new beginnings," she said, raising her glass. Indeed, I thought. This ending was just the beginning of something new. The preliminary hearing took place in a small courtroom on a rainy Tuesday morning. I arrived with my attorney, Philip, while Gregory came with a lawyer he had hastily retained, a young associate from a firm that specialized in corporate law, not family matters. Gregory's poor choice of lawyer was yet another consequence of his rushed planning. The judge, an older woman with sharp eyes and no patience for theatrics, examined the prenuptial agreement closely. "This document appears in order," she said, peering over her glasses at Gregory's attorney. "Do you contest its validity?" The young lawyer cleared his throat. "Your Honor, we believe the agreement has expired due to the length of the marriage. Section 18 states the term applies only to the marriage plus any related legal proceedings." The judge read aloud, "There is no expiration date indicated." Gregory whispered urgently to his lawyer, who grew increasingly uncomfortable. Furthermore, the judge continued, The evidence of systematic fund transfers violates the financial disclosure requirements in Section 23. I am ruling to maintain the freeze on joint accounts pending full financial discovery. Mr. Caldwell's personal account will remain accessible to him. She looked at Gregory sternly. The family home will remain in Mrs. Caldwell's possession during proceedings, as stipulated in the infidelity clause. Gregory's face flushed dark red. "This is outrageous," he muttered, loud enough for me to hear. The judge fixed him with his steely gaze. "Mr. Caldwell, I suggest you review the agreement you signed more carefully. This court will reconvene in 30 days after discovery is complete." In the courthouse hallway, Gregory caught up to me. "Rachel, please. We need to talk. 28 years together has to count for something." "It counted for everything until you decided it didn't," I replied, walking away. Words spread fast. Friends called daily, some offering support, others gossip. I kept my dignity, simply saying, "Gregory and I are separating. These things happen." Gregory's carefully constructed facade was crumbling. The beachfront property deal fell through. The luxury car deposit was lost. 2 weeks later, Diana called, amused. "Have you heard? Chloe moved out already. She found out Gregory's business isn't doing well. The savings? They don't exist." I laughed quietly. He always was good at illusions. Meanwhile, I rebuilt. With my separate savings, I rented a small office downtown and launched the consultancy I'd dreamed of. My first clients were women going through divorces, and word spread quickly. Madeline, now working in marketing in Charleston, called regularly. "Mom, I'm so proud of you. You're helping people when they need it most." "I'm just doing what I wish someone had done for me," I told her. Helping women prepare for life's upheavals. 6 months later, Caldwell Financial Transitions thrived. I'd moved to a larger space and hired 2 associates. The final divorce hearing was on what would have been our 29th anniversary. Gregory looked haggard, his business floundering without my support. Chloe was gone, dating someone new. Most friends had distanced themselves from him. The judge upheld the prenuptial agreement in full. Gregory left with his dwindling personal funds, barely enough for a small apartment. I retained our home, retirement accounts, and 70% of our joint investments, the very protections he'd once demanded. At the courthouse exit, Gregory approached once more. "I made a terrible mistake," he said quietly. "Is there any chance we could?" "No," I interrupted firmly. "That door is closed." "I understand," he replied. And for once, I believed him. "I hope you find happiness, Rachel. You deserve it." It was the first honest thing he'd said in years. The envelope I handed him months before wasn't just my escape plan. It was the key to a door I never knew existed. Behind it, I found not just revenge, but reinvention. In securing my financial future, I had reclaimed something far more valuable: myself.